purpose of this short video is to give you a very brief example of what your learner analysis project might look like. So if you were going to use PowerPoint or Keynote, your title slide obviously will have your learner analysis project. You can title it, the course number, and of course your name and the date. You can start by introducing your student. Give us a brief introduction. You're going to give us more details throughout the presentation, but here you might want to introduce your students to us. Please remember to use a pseudonym for your student, so we don't want the student's real name, and we certainly don't want the real photographs of the student, because we're going to protect his or her confidentiality. You can use photographs that you find that are not copyrighted on Google, or images that you find that you think represent your student well. You're going to also introduce the context and the setting. So you'll tell us a little bit about your field placement site. You can tell us some information about the community demographics. And who does this site serve, and what purpose does this site hold for the community? So in this course we have students who are doing a field experience in the Boys and Girls Club or various other after-school type settings. Some of you are actually in school placement, so this is going to be different depending on where you are. You might have more than one slide to talk about the community and the context and setting, but just for the purposes of an example, I'm going to just do one slide per prompt and reflection for you to think about. You'll go into a little bit more detail about your student. Why did you pick this student? Who is he or she? Tell us a little bit about who this student is within the context of your setting. As you've read in the document and seen in the other explanation videos, you will be conducting some observations of your student. So here's where you'll summarize your student observation notes. You'll tell us about the observations you did, what you observed. You're going to give us the key points of your field notes. What did you learn about the student, and why is this information important for you to know as a teacher? You will also have conducted a series of interviews with your student, and here again is where you're going to summarize the key points from your interviews. You'll look back at your notebook and the notes that you took during the interviews and tell us what you learned. How does the student feel about him or herself as a learner? Who are the student's friends? What's important to him or her? What are how does she perceive herself? What are her strengths and her hopes and dreams for the future? Whatever information you gleaned from your interviews is what you will share with us here. You will also have conducted an adult interview. And again, depending on your setting, will determine who you were able to interview. So it might be the teacher, it might be the after school coordinator, but who did you interview? What did you learn about the student from this interview? And it'd be interesting to do a little bit of analysis in terms of how is the student viewed by the adults in his or her environment, and how does the student view him or herself, and see if there are any differences or similarities there. You'll also talk about what questions remain about this student as a learner. So if you were this student's teacher, what other information would you need to know to best serve him or her in your classroom? What information would you like to know that you were not able to get? And again, reflect on what is the important information you need to know if you were this child's teacher. The last part of your digital story will be a self-reflection. So how did you grow in your ability to learn about students by completing this assignment? And in what ways did you expand your abilities to interpret and use this information to design learning opportunities? Um, what did you learn about the students' sociocultural identities? What did you learn from the adults in the student's life? And most importantly here is I want you to reflect on your role as a future teacher. And what did you learn about the power of observation and interview and getting to know a particular student in order to best serve him or her? That is about the end of this presentation. I just wanted to give you an example of what it might look like and how you would use a screencasting tool to do this. Thank you.